Hi, welcome to Time Travels with Travis. I'm Travis Childs, the Director of Education at the History Museum and also your St. Joseph County historian. We are standing on the northern yard of the current courthouse building, but what I want you to focus on is the building behind me at this corner, the northwest corner of Washington Street and Main Street. We're going to be talking about the St. Joseph Hotel. The St. Joseph Hotel was built in 1855, and it ran basically the same footprint as the Loft Building, or what used to be the Chase Tower downtown here behind me. The hotel was built, it had 4 floors, and it had a ballroom on the very top floor at the 4th floor level. Now, you got to keep in mind, when this hotel was built, there were 2,000 people that lived in South Bend. That was it. But there were people coming in to meet with businesses that were located on the west and east race. The St. Joe Hotel was built and owned by a group of individuals. Some lived here in South Bend, like Judge Thomas Stanfield, who was a famous judge here, one of the first judges here in the city and county, and Judge Egbert, who was also one of the investors in the St. Joseph Hotel. They had got together and they formed a company. It was called, I believe, the St. Joseph Hotel Company, or South Bend Hotel Company, something like that. They started building the building at the corner here, Washington and Main. Building went up, took them about a year, and they finally had a giant opening party in 1855 when it opened. It had a slow start. Money was lost. It didn't have full occupancy for a while. On the main floor, however, beyond being the hotel lobby and entrance, there were businesses. The St. Joseph Valley Bank was on the main floor. There was a drugstore. The post office was in there for a little while until it got its own building a block away from here. And so a lot of people eventually started staying here. Well, outbreak of the Civil War comes, 1861. Hotel, of course, once again, it's not filled. It was a hotel, but it wasn't like what we would think is like a motor inn or a motor lodge. It was more of like furnished apartments, if you want to call it that, or furnished rooms that you would rent weekly for people that couldn't afford the rent or couldn't find a place to stay here in South Bend. They could stay in a room here in the St. Joseph Hotel. About 2 weeks after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in April 25th of 1865, behind the hotel, you can't see it, it's no longer there, of course, there was what they call a livery stable. It was a horse stable. When guests would come, of course, they would have their own carriages and horses, and just like our parking garage is still in there, they would need a place, residents would need a place to park those and a place to house their horses and have somebody take care of them while they were in town. So there was a livery stable in the next lot behind the St. Joseph Hotel. That belonged to a gentleman by the name of James Ireland, who was a family of the Ireland family that Ireland Road is named after. They think April 25th, 1865, that the fire started in the livery stable, which is possible. There's hay laying around, it's a wooden structure, and it slowly caught on fire, and basically it burned this whole lot. This square lot that borders Lafayette, Maine, Colfax, and Washington was completely burned to the ground. Some folks lost their homes because they lived in the block. A lot of businesses lost their buildings because of that fire. The St. Joseph Hotel was completely gutted. Completely gutted. Nobody was hurt that I could gather. Everybody got out, but This is once again an era before we had an organized fire department, and basically people that lived here ran downtown because the alarm was given, and they basically formed a bucket brigade to put the fire out or help put the fire out. And it took almost all night to put that fire out, and they finally got it out. Lots of the areas in this block had to be they had to let it burn just because they didn't have any water left, but they did try to save the hotel, but there was no saving it. So after the St. Joseph Hotel fire, April 25th, 1865, the lot was cleared. Another building was built, another hotel was built, and that lot, that hotel was then later demolished by the Oliver family to build the Oliver Hotel, which sat at this corner. A lot of people know the Oliver Hotel. We talk about it at the museum all the time when you go through J.D. Oliver's mansion in Copsham, and that used to sit on this corner. That was up until the late 60s. I think it was done in 70 or 72, somewhere in there. And they started demolishing the Oliver Hotel. It was, I believe, six or seven floors. And that was demolished, much to a lot of people's disgust. But it had a lot of interior problems. It hadn't been kept up. And so it came down, and that's when they built what we all know as the Chase Tower, or what would later become the Chase Tower. Chase stayed in there for a while. You had what was that? It wasn't Windows on the World, because that's the World Trade Center, but they had a restaurant clear up on the tippy top floor. They had a restaurant in the basement. There, of course, was a hotel. When I first came to Northern Indiana, this was a Holiday Inn, a regular old Holiday Inn hotel. Luckily, the building was in disrepair again, and luckily come in, they've put, I believe, single-person lofts. There's businesses in the base, in the main lobby, just like there was before. Even the Oliver Hotel had a drugstore, a soda fountain, had a men's clothing store in it, had all kinds of things in it. And evidently with the St. Joseph Hotel, when they had businesses on the main floor, none of them really survived because they were a block away from Michigan and Washington Street, which was the heart of the shopping district in South Bend. But later on, the city started expanding. They built the courthouse here, and when the Oliver family built their hotel, those companies that were on that main floor pretty well survived. But back between the 1860s and mid-1870s, there were a lot of cities that had a lot of fires. Mishawaka would have a fire later, of course, the famous Chicago fire in 1872. And there was a lot of cities. Everything was close together. Everything was made of wood. And so with it being so close, it doesn't take very long. People are smoking cigars and dropping them on the ground. It was not good. It wasn't good, and the fire systems at that time were either non-existent or, once again, not good. They tried their best, but there just wasn't the kind of technology that they have now. Today, God forbid, a hotel catches on fire, they wouldn't have really any problem putting it out. It would be a challenge, but they wouldn't have to just let it burn to the ground. Like they did back in 1865, April 25th, when the St. Joseph Hotel fire happened and burned the hotel here in South Bend to the ground. Thanks again. I'll see you next time on Time Travels with Travis.